Okay, we are good. Anyway, yeah, welcome to the stream. I'm doing... I guess we can do... which route should we do? Chrome I go? We should do... Sam.
Hold on there! Before you start the game, I need to ask you a few things. Don't want you getting lost now.
Thank you, Kay. So I just gotta plug in my phone.
First of all, have you read the first story, Seduce Me the Otome? Like, seriously read it. No skimming, no pretending to read it. No. It's okay if you haven't, but there are a lot of things in this game that you won't understand unless you fully experienced and understood that story first.
Yes, I have. Okay. Yes.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Next question. You do know this is Sam's route, right? The brute middle brother? The asshat who stole your first kiss when you first met the guys?
Yes, I know. Yep, I know.
Oh, awesome. All right then. I mean, I like Sam's story the best, but that's because he goes through a lot and goes through even more in this story.
Yee.
Anyway, I have one last question for you. Some people like hearing the trigger warnings before they start games, while others don't really care and just want to play. It's cool either way, but do you want to know about some of the content listed in the game?
That would be nice, so we all know. Sure,
No problem.
thanks.
It's my pleasure. Well, this game is recommended for players ages 18 and up. Trigger warnings include suicide, war, torture, mentions of rape, and a large amount of violence and sexual content.
Thank you.
Don't worry though, any sex scene choice you encounter is completely up to you. You can play this game without needing to go through the sex scenes and still get the good endings. Consent is important.
Thank you, Kay.
I think that should be everything. All right. Phew, that took a while.
Diana!
You forgot something.
Diana!
Huh? What did I forget? You forgot about the disclaimer.
Thank you, Diana.
Oh, crap! Oh, how could I have forgotten about that?
It's fine. I'll take care of it. This game was produced by Michaela Laws using the Ren'Py visual novel engine. We truly hope you enjoy this story.
Thank you, Diana.
Thanks, Diana. Now, don't you have a war to go fight?
I do. I just wanted to make sure everything was in order before the story began. I'll take my leave now.
Thanks, Di.
Do not call me Di.
Anyway, we really do hope you like the story. Have fun. See you at the end.
Thank you.
Is this wise?
Sarah?
What other choice do we have?
No, that's Shadow.
We have plenty of choices. Why be impatient about this?
The Demon Lord is vulnerable now. We can't wait any longer.
Striking quickly is not always the best.
Shadow.
We must regroup and charge at full force.
For once, I agree with Snake.
But what if he does the same? We have the advantage. We have the terrain on our side. We can win this war here and now.
Yeah, that's right.
We may have the terrain on our side, but we don't have the strength to fight a second battle without rest.
And that's probably where Sam comes in.
Going now is suicide. My lady, you've been silent
Sarah!
the whole time.
Diana.
How should we proceed? We don't have the strength to finish the battle.
Sarah.
But the demon
My
Lord
boy.
is weak. This may be the only chance to strike him down.
We'll push them back,
Diana.
so we can easily force his hand and make him retreat. Once we corner him against the decaying sea, we'll strike and finish him off.
Yay.
Sam, you're being extremely frugal about this. A wedding is supposed to be a grand occasion.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. We have the funds to make this wedding a large event.
Dude, I can make you a giant cake, and we can have a big buffet, and streamers, and a DJ, and...
Sam, calm down.
Planning a wedding was like strategizing for a war. Like, I haven't heard that before. Ruthless, quick, and everything had to be precisely organized for success. It was both intriguing and terrifying to think about. However, it was my wedding, so it had to be done. Sam and I were getting married, and his brothers had become our assistant wedding planners. Sam was happy that his brothers were going to assist, but I could tell that their constant suggestions were grating on his nerves. We were sitting around the dining room, poring over a large scramble of papers that were covered in names, costs, and other bits of information that we needed to know. Each number and letter was important and needed to be checked again and again with each decision we made. There were so many names on the table, I had barely seen mine. Luckily, however, our sample card and party favors had Sam's name and mine on it. Elizabeth? I looked over at Sam, knowing that he was getting frustrated. It was obvious by the look on Sam's face that he was very much annoyed by the entire situation.
I don't want a big wedding. I just want to get married.
Aw, Alejandro.
Then why not just go to the courthouse and get your marriage license?
Because this is important, okay?
Okay, he doesn't want a big enough wedding. He wants like a small wedding with like a small ceremony. Sam looked at me and my heart skipped a beat. His eyes bored into mine, and I could to see the deep love he had for me in his emerald irises.
This is a big deal for me. For us.
Ah!
This is a big deal for me. For us. I do really want a wedding, but just not a big one. Alright?
It was almost as if he was asking me, pleading for my permission to have a wedding size he wished for. I wasn't really sure myself I wanted a big or small wedding. I was still curious on how we were going to get this all done. Sam crossed his arms and as Eric rubbed his forehead in defeat. Damien and Matthew, however, looked at their older brother with a new gaze of respect and idolizing awe.
If that is what you want, then that is what we will arrange.
This wedding will be amazing, no matter how big or small it is.
Why don't we ask the bride what she wants then? She may want a large wedding.
All the boys... all 5 boys looked at me and I suddenly felt cornered. I wasn't sure. I actually want a small wedding because with it, I'm not much of a party planner. So, small wedding. I had agreed to Sam. I didn't want to make this spectacle. The wedding was important to me and Sam. That was all that mattered. I would like to keep our wedding small too. It's our wedding, so it doesn't need to be in a big extravaganza. Sam looked at me and smiled, causing me to smile back. It was our day, so we had to celebrate it our way. Oh my God, Sam! Oh my God, he's so... Look at that smile. As the brothers took a moment to look over more notes, Sam kissed my cheek softly, surprising me. Oh? Ah! Sam. Oh yeah, so by the way, the stream will go to like 140 or 150, because with it, I have someone coming over that time, so yeah. I glared at Sam as he smirked a playful grin at me before turning back to the table of papers and looking through them with his brothers. I giggled to myself and gently held the cheek he kissed. I was glad to make him happy. James pushed his glasses further up his nose and put together a stack of papers, gazing at the content on the front page.
Well, everything that you both listed should be possible for the wedding. I can call up the venues for the ceremony and reception. Eric, can you organize the decorations?
As the boys began to divide up the work, before I was able to step in, my phone began to ring. My screen showed Naomi's face, and I stood from my seat. I'll be right back. I gotta take this.
Huh? Oh, yeah, okay.
I quickly kissed Sam's cheek before rushing out of the dining room and into the lobby to answer them. Hello?
Hey, how's everything going?
Naomi! Huh? Oh, hey, Naomi. Everything's going well. We're going through the details now.
That's good. Seriously, Naomi, you're hogging the phone.
Suzu! Suzu? My jaw dropped at the sound of Suzu's voice. Suzu was supposed to be an alien and wasn't going to make it for the wedding. Why was she with Naomi?
Surprise! I was hogging the phone to keep Suzu being here a surprise, but I guess she's too impatient to wait. Fuck waiting. I want to talk to her too.
When did you get in?
Literally 2 hours ago. We wanted to come visit, but we figured you'd be too busy, so we just called instead. We're so happy for you. Suzu had to come back for the wedding.
I felt like crying. Naomi and Suzu were my best friends, and I was so glad to have them. Naomi was following her dreams to become a chef, while Suzu spent a lot of time with her family. So I felt very special to have them, to even talk to them. I sat in the chair and chatted with them, catching up on their lives. Suzu's family was still in Italy, visiting family and traveling the country for a couple of months. But Suzu managed to fly back not only to attend my wedding, but also to manage her family's casino. Naomi, on the other hand, had been hard at work both as summa cum laude of her culinary school and been a paid intern at the Pink Lady Cafe. Kay, often out of town, gave Lily a manager position while Naomi positioned the cashier in baking duties. It was really nice to hear how their lives have changed over the past 2 years. Mine, however, had barely changed with the exception of the upcoming marriage. I was going to college for a degree I wanted, and I was halfway to my bachelor's degree. However, my classes weren't hard. They were very lenient towards me because I was Harold Aaronson's granddaughter. Part of me was frustrated at the special treatment I received, while the other part of me was flattered. Sam, however, went to the police force. With the help of the incubus magic, he was able to don a badge and serve the community well. Everyone knew him and loved him for his hard work, despite his boss being jealous of him at times. I never understood why he joined the force, but I was happy to know that he felt the need to help people like I did.
So, are you ready to get married?
Yes. It's a lot to take in. I will admit it.
You're dancing around the question.
Huh? No, I'm not.
Suzu, stop teasing. She's probably just flustered from the work she has to do.
As Naomi and Suzu began to bicker on the other end of the phone, I began to mull over my life. I was 20, turning 21 soon, and I was about to be married. Married. Was I going too fast? My mind began to picture Sam and how happy he was when he proposed to me, and when I said yes, my heart fluttered at the image and I couldn't help but smile. I made the right choice. As I thought of Sam, I couldn't help but let memories of our relationship dance around my mind. He was sweet and loving, but at the same time, he was hardworking, protective, and proud to be mine. He proved his love for me. Wait, you picked Sandrew? Oh, hi, Michaela. I didn't even notice you. Let's see. I got the batting for Eric. I already started Matthew's, and I finished Diana's with a good roots. But yeah, I didn't notice you, Michaela. I'm sorry. He proved his love to me for every time he held me and kissed me.
I bet you two already had sex, though, so there won't be that awkward virgin honeymoon, huh?
Wait, what? Aha-baha? I nearly dropped my phone. I could hear Suzu coughing at me from the other end, but I was too focused on what she said. We did not and have not had sex. It was true, we hadn't had sex. Even when he confessed his feelings for me, it wasn't a matter of lack of passion or desire. I just wasn't up to having sex. There were more ways to show love than just the mattress mambo. What? Oh, hell no. Oh, yeah, so Michaela, the stream will end around, 10 to 15 minutes before 2 o'clock, because I have, my boyfriend's coming over, so, yeah.
She was just teasing. It's alright. No need to be embarrassed.
Yeah, right. But it's true. I'll be right back. Coming! I is back, and yes, I do. But it's true.
You still have your cherry? Jeez.
Shut it, Suzu. I love you, dearie, but still, shut it.
And what about you, Miss Nosy? Ha! I popped my cherry before we graduated.
What?
Then you're the only one in the trio who's not a virgin.
Oh my god, are you serious, Suzu? What? She's not a... Oh my god, Suzu, why? Why, my little delinquents?
You too, Naomi? Come on.
I couldn't help but laugh a bit. We were comfortable with each other. First it was crayons in kindergarten, then TV shows in grade school, then boys in high school, and now sex. We were very tight, we were the very tight-knit triple threat trio.
But hey, we gotta let you go, okay? We haven't eaten and it's almost 9 p.m.
Jeez, go get some food. We can chat tomorrow or something.
You got it, Chica. We'll call you whenever we're free, even if it's not tomorrow. For now, food! Alright, we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, call you guys soon. We hung up simultaneously, and I looked down at my phone with a smile. It was good to hear from them at last. However, I made my way back towards the dining room. I stopped.
I want to do it.
What?
You cannot be serious.
I quickly hugged the wall and emptied my thoughts so Damien wouldn't hear them. I listened intently, thinking about Naomi and Suzu as I let my ears capture what I wanted to discover. I had listened to so many tricks on how to avoid Damien. It was not easy to fool him.
A demon marriage? In the human world? How do you expect to pull this off?
What?
I don't know. I just want to marry her. Both like a human for her and like the demon for me.
Aww, Sam.
I mean, it's a nice idea, but you need a lot, and I mean a lot, of things we can't get here in the human world.
You know what's happening, right? Kind of? I said I never played Sam's Room in my life before.
Sam wants to visit the demon black market to find the things he needs.
What? You are not going to that black market.
Sam! Are you that idiotic?
I agree, James.
Gee, thanks, Damien.
Gee, thanks, Damien.
The black market? Really?
A demon marriage. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I understand that, but the place that they need to go to get it, or you are not going to that black market, Sam. Even if you are a cop.
It's my goddamn choice.
You're still not going, and I agree.
A choice that will make you an even bigger target for angels. What the hell are you thinking?
My mind continued to focus on my friends, but my heart became heavy and frightened. Sam wanted things that he had to get at a black market? I didn't even realize there was a demon black market. I felt majority confused. But I let the emotion slowly rumble in my chest instead of my mind.
Look, I know you want to do this with her, but can't you at least think about this? What if you can't find all of the materials needed for it?
Thank you.
Even more so, what if she doesn't want to do it? She is human after all. Did you even ask her?
Where you contact their souls together into one soul. Oh, so yeah.
I was...
Sam?
Oh, for the love of God.
Sam, come on! I know you're a meathead, but you're not this dumb. Why haven't you asked her?
I just want to bind my soul to her, alright? You know, like the fucking demon I actually am.
Sam.
Oh shit! Oh shit! My thoughts went blank. For a moment I had forgotten that he was, in fact, a demon. But binding his soul to me? What did he mean?
Yes, you are a demon, but you're in the human world now. Marriage doesn't work like that here.
No, it doesn't. Ooh, that growl, though.
Sam, why are you having doubts?
What? Oh! You feel each other's emotions and know if they are fine or okay. Okay. So that's probably why in some of my role plays, she's been acting like that. One of the role plays I do with one of my friends, her character is like, oh, I know when you're okay. I know when you're hurt and stuff. I can feel you. I'm like, how do we somehow manage to bind them? If we're not even fucking married yet or demons. My entire body froze. What? He was having doubts? Why? I suppressed the surprise in my mind, still remembering that I was eavesdropping, but I was starting to feel upset.
I'm not having doubts. I want to do this.
You just what? You want to return to the demon world? You want to marry her in the abyssal plains instead of here?
Oh, hell no, Sam!
And if I did, so what if I do? I can get us there, and we'd be able to do the ceremony, and then we'd come back.
You may want to go back, but she would become a target for demons to kill for sport. She'd die before you even returned. Did you even think about that? Huh?
Oh shit, James is getting angry. A large silence followed. I became lost and nervous. Why was Sam so obsessed about this issue?
James, calm down. Yelling at him solves nothing.
Thank you, Eric.
Sam, we all know you really want to do this. We're just trying to show you the facts before you do something stupid.
The boys really care about us. Yay. I couldn't stand any longer. It was not a good time to bring it up, so I needed to clear the air situation. Eventually, I could talk to Sam about it, but not now. I mentally signaled that I was ending the call, thinking about rejoining the room, knowing Damien would hear my thoughts.
She's coming back.
Ah! I turned the corner and looked at the five, seeing them obviously divided. Sam was on one side, both hands on the table as he stared down at it in defeat. The other four were on the opposite side looking to me. Hey, what happened?
Nothing. We just had a bit of a... Fuck this, I'm done.
No, you are not, Sam! Sam pushed away from the table and began to walk towards me. I watched as he passed me and climbed the stairs, obviously beyond angry. Sam?
Miss, wait.
James? I turned back to the four incubi brothers who, with worried looks on their faces. I wanted to go to Sam, but I knew that he needed to calm down, so I stayed. What is it?
Well, this is very hard to ask.
Ask away!
If Sam wanted to do something very, very specific and hard to accomplish, and if you wanted to, do that with you, would you?
That's not a good way to word it, Matthew. That is not a good way to word it, Matthew.
Basically, would you allow Sam to do something that makes him happy but risks his life?
I couldn't help thinking about the conversation they had, which made Damien furrow his eyebrows. Crap.
You heard everything.
You did?
Ah, shit. That's right. I closed my eyes. There was no use in denying it, but it was something I needed to talk about with them. I knew I'd had to talk about it with Sam, but with his brothers? Do we talk about it or no? Kayla, you're the person. You know all about Seduce Me. Do we avoid it or talk about it? I'm gonna say first.
You did?
Save. Just wanted to save, damn it!
Kid?
Talk about it. I needed to know more about what was going on. Why was Sam so keen on doing whatever he had planned? Hold on, I'm just trying to fix my shirt. I heard what you were all talking about, but I don't understand. A demon marriage? James let us aside before rubbing his temple with one hand, crossing his other arm over his chest. Matthew stepped forward, becoming the teacher of the moment.
Well, you see, humans plan weddings and have licenses and stuff, and bam, you're married. Demons, however, are a little more intimate.
I mean, like sex. Intimate?
Well, basically, when demons want to be together forever, they don't put rings on each other or anything like that. They bind each other's souls.
By sex. And creating a child. What? This was making no sense, but then again, it was demon magic they were talking about. So it wasn't familiar to me at all. Eric stepped forward and continued.
When two demons want to join together and build their legacy and family, they go through a ritual that binds their souls together for all of eternity. No matter where they are, they will forever sense each other's presence and be able to feel them in their hearts.
At the same time, that's really adorable, because with it, they'll be able to feel each other's presence and is able to feel them in their hearts. Meaning, if, say, like, Sam's in the demon world and we're in the human world and stuff, and we can't see each other, we can still feel each other and stuff and still sense his presence. And it'll probably comfort us. Again, it's stupid, but at the same time, it's really adorable, in my opinion.
Pretty much. It's kind of romantic. It's also pretty complicated.
You think? Like going to the black bar and getting that shit? Pretty complicated?
Well, when a demon binds their soul to another demon, they also swear to give their energy to their partner without question. Normally, willpower can be used to fight back when someone takes our energy, but the binding spell will overrule your will.
Then I disagree with that demon marriage. Because with it, a true man would be like, hey, is it okay if I take your energy? And if we say like, oh no, I don't want you to take your energy, you're like, okay, I understand and stuff. But no, with this, boom. No matter what.
Basically, it's constant consent, even if you fight back. Demons have accepted this way of life, but from what we've seen of the human world, humans wouldn't be so keen on this idea.
No. I suddenly felt a little scared. If I bound my soul to Sam, he'd be able to take my energy whenever he wanted. I knew he wouldn't abuse that, but it was still scary, no longer having a say in whether I wanted to or not. Did I want to bind my soul with him? I shook my head, putting the information in a mental folder before asking another question. It was not something I had to go through right now. I'd be able to think it over later. What's involved with the spell?
Well, it requires a lot of power and a bunch of things to perform the ritual correctly. Our moms, well, except for Damien's, all had to gather everything and perform it with their own energy because there was no one to cast the spell.
That's because our father was a misogynistic tyrant who demanded more than one partner.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you need to have someone to cast the spell. Then you'd need to properly set the magic circle and temper the space. There's a lot you'd have to do.
Yeah. A demon ritual to bind souls? All of it was intriguing to me, yet at the same time, I was concerned over the implied difficulty. Was something like that truly complicated? To bind two souls together. It was romantic in thought, but I guess difficult in process and execution. Sam really seemed passionate about the idea from just how frustrated he was, disagreeing with his brothers. I felt both flattered and worried. Damien walked over to me, obviously hearing my thoughts on the situation, and placed a hand on my shoulder.
Don't let this worry you. He'll talk to you about it when he's ready. I don't believe he fully knows what to do yet.
Aw, thanks, Damien. I nodded and closed my eyes. Now that I understand a bit more about the situation, talking to Sam about it, it would be easier. I sighed and looked at the boys, seeing them starting to clean the table and clear the papers off. I had to assume that the planning was done for the night. I guess we'll discuss more another time?
It'll have to wait until the weekend. Much is happening this week, so I won't be available.
I showed my mom and my sister the boys. My mom's favorite was Matthew and said that my favorite was James. My sister's favorite was James and said that Sam was my favorite. I had no idea how she knew. Probably because either A, you talk about it, B, you act giddy every time you hear the probably word James. There's something that's from that she knows that you don't know.
Same here. I have to train a couple of interns so they know how to properly fit customers with a suit.
That's nice, Sam.
This weekend is perfectly fine, right?
Yeah, that sounds good. I helped pile the papers in a proper stack on the table, making them ready for next time for where to be viewed. Before I escorted the boys out, Sam remained wherever he was and didn't see his brothers off. After I closed the door, however, Sam appeared at the balcony above the lobby and began to descend the staircase.
Are they gone?
Yeah, they'll be back this weekend. Sam sighed and ran his hand through his hair, letting his shoulders slouch forward.
This is ridiculous. Is wedding prep really this complicated?
Yes, it is, Alejandro. I could only nod before walking over and meeting him as he reached the bottom step. As he stepped to it, I ran my arms around him and nuzzled his forehead, making him look into my eyes. I'll be worth it in the end when we're married. Sam smiled and wrapped his arm around my waist, nuzzling my forehead. I felt the deep love in his embrace, wanting to protect me from the world and all the dangers within it. He had protected me so many times with those arms that were wrapped around me.
If I get to be with you forever, then I guess it's worth the work. You doofus.
Doofus. Like my dog Doofus? My cat just fucking knocked everything over. How about a dog who chews on everything? As long as you'll have me, I'll be with you forever. With a gaze, Sam lifted a hand from my waist and cupped my cheek, and I nuzzled it into the warmth of his palm, letting out a loving sigh.
Hey, can we go somewhere tomorrow?
Huh? I'm sure, I guess. Where do you want to go? Thoughts of him going to the black market crossed my mind, making me slightly worried as he wanted to go. Sam, however, looked at his feet.
Well, we already asked your folks and stuff about me marrying you. But there's one person I have to ask permission from.
Wait, what? Who's that? Who?
Your grandfather.
What? I have questions. Okay, Sam. How in the hell are you going to talk to my grandfather when A, he's dead, B, he's in a grave, and C, how in the hell are you going to still talk to him? You're going to go to the spiritual world or something? Okay, that'd be really cool if they go to spiritual world or something to talk to him, but still. I was shocked. He wanted to go to my grandfather's grave? Damien had explained that it had been my grandfather who had brought them over to the demon world, but I was still getting used to the idea. Sam continued to explain as I wrapped my head around the question.
I know I sound a little dumb, but he was kind of important to me and my brothers. He's the one who brought us here after all. It's only respectful if, I guess, I kind of ask for his blessing. I mean, it's dumb and we don't have to, but...
No, we can't, definitely. Tomorrow around noon, then? Sam stared in shock before he nodded with a smile.
All right.
Yay! The thought of us going to visit grandfather's grave somehow made me feel happy instead of sad. We had both visited him before, but we weren't engaged then, and somehow it felt special about this visit. Maybe it was because Sam was doing the things right before marrying me? Who knew? We went to bed that night, settled in our plans for the following day. As morning arrived, we got dressed and we were out of the house by the time the clock struck noon. It was a bright day, so no one else was visiting, so Sam and I were alone in the cemetery. It was a little unnerving, but at the same time, it was nice to be able to spend time at grandfather's grave alone with Sam. I would visit alone eventually, but for now, Sam took control of our visits. Sam sat down in front of the grave, crossing his legs, and stared at the stone slab that was my grandfather's gravestone. I followed suit, sitting beside him and placing a bouquet of colorful flowers beside the grave.
No matter how many times we come here, it's still so odd. I remember when we met almost like it was yesterday.
Aww. Yeah, it's still strange. We both sat uncomfortably silent, looking at the grave. It was strange remembering that 2 years ago, I had met Sam and his brothers literally the day after my grandfather had died. And I was getting married to Sam. It was surreal to say the very least. Sam straightened his back and cleared his throat, causing me to look at him in confusion.
So, Mr. Anderson, hope that you're around to hear us and stuff. Your spirit, I mean. I'm fucking this up already.
What? I was confused. Why was he asking if my grandfather was there? Was he buried under the earth? He was buried underneath the earth, and his spirit was probably in the afterlife. Sam took another breath.
I must sound like a complete jackass. You've given my brothers a chance to start new lives, and I can't ever thank you enough. Now, I'm asking for your granddaughter's hand. I must seem like a brat, huh?
I could only watch as Sam run his hands through his messy hair, obviously deep in thought and formulating his words carefully before speaking. He didn't want to mess up. I could tell by the look of it on his face. Okay, so hold on. I'm going to turn off my speakers and we're just going to have a deep talk. Okay. So, hold on. I can actually turn my speakers back on. But with it, I'm just going to have the music on low. Okay, so last night I was showing my mom the game, and this was Eric's route. Eric kept saying princess, and I'll protect my princess from anything, no matter what. And she looked at me as like, that reminds me of Morgan, of my boyfriend. I'm like, it kind of does, but to me, Morgan's all the boys. He's all the boys, in my opinion. 'Cause he can be tough, but he's a big softie. He's caring, smart, silly, and shy at times. So to me, he's all the boys. So I just want to say that because it was very important to me. That's the reason why I love playing the Seduce Me games. It reminds me of happy times. Aw, yeah. It's melting my heart just talking about him. He's dropping a gift later. I got him a Christmas gift. It was a shirt and a flannel. And he's dropping something off. So that's the reason why I'm going to cut the stream short. I'm just really happy. I'm sorry. Ah! I'm sorry. Let's continue.
You've given us so much already. I want to be able to not only pay you back for giving my brothers better lives, but I want to be with your granddaughter for the rest of my life. As a demon, and as her husband.
Oh, Sam. You got a lucky one. Yeah. I guess I did. This music just sets everything.
I promise to take care of her and love her for the rest of my life. I want to be with her and provide her with the life she deserves. I may be a demon, but I love her, and will do anything to protect her and keep her happy. Please, if you're here, I humbly ask for your blessing to marry your granddaughter.
This is just making me smile. Because I have a feeling he would do that. My heart was overwhelmed by the emotional speech Sam made. Tears were forming in my eyes for the love that he was expressing me. I held my hands over my chest, unable to stop the pounding of my heart. Sam truly loved me. As I stared at Sam, a gentle wind passed through the air and brushed over Sam and my skin. Out of place, the sun it was out of place. The sun was out, and I hadn't felt any breeze at all until just then. Oh my god! Are you kidding me? Huh? Grandfather? Another? Oh my god, you're no way! Another small breeze brushed over us, making me and Sam smile at the sensation. The wind was my grandfather's answer. It was gentle enough to let us know that he was happy to see where we were and we were planning to do. Oh my god. I wish Sam was real. Me too, but at the same time, I wish Matthew was my husband. 'Cause, yeah, it was silly, but yet protectiveness. But oh my god. Tears are even forming in my eyes. Jesus Christ. Sam let out a breath he was holding in, and now that he knew that my grandfather approved.
I won't let you down.
Oh, it's making me cry. Damn it, Sam. Damn it, Sam. This reminds me of my grandma. She would always, when she died, sadly it was the day after Christmas, so that's the reason why I was doing a stream the day after Christmas. On here with Seduce Me. But with it, again, one time I was all alone. And there was no breeze. It was like the hottest day ever. And I was wondering about Grandma, and all of a sudden, a breeze just came in. And sometimes I smell her perfume, or sometimes I feel someone watch me, which, speaking of which, Grandma? I couldn't help with a wide smile growing on my face. I was beyond overjoyed at the situation. If Grandfather really was there, I was happy to know that he approved of us. We went home that day feeling confident and ready for whatever the future held for us. We had gained the blessing of my grandfather, and I was certain that however we went about this marriage, we were going to care and love each other for the rest of our lives. Just thinking about Sam being with me forever made my heart jump in joy. Was I really that excited to be married to him? My heart thought so, despite of him being a demon. Still, the demon ritual remained in the back of my mind, softly puddling my thoughts as we returned home and worked on more wedding arrangements. Holy shit. I looked at Sam, not curious enough to bring it up. The question was, would I? You were lucky to see her. I can't see things. I can only feel them. So, you're lucky. Got to see them. Oh shit, should we bring it up? Should we? Should we bring up the demon ritual? Michaela, I need help! It was bothering me. I wanted to know what was on Sam's mind, and I needed to hear his thoughts about it. I looked to Sam as he pored over a guest list. He was proficient with reading now, constantly learning in the past 2 years that we had been together, so he was flying through his work with ease. Still, I needed to break the silence. Sam, can I ask you something? Sam looked up from his work and sat up straight, rolling back in his shoulders.
Yeah, sure, what's up?
Yes? Thank you. Sorry. Promise you won't be mad? Sam furrowed his eyebrows, now concerned with what I wanted to ask him. I bit my lower lip, but he nodded, crossing his arms, leaning back against his chair.
Go ahead.
If I was nervous before, I was even more nervous now. Well, you see, I looked down at the table, hoping that the wooden surface would help me to find some way to form my thoughts. Once I was form my thoughts into words, I looked back up at Sam. Why is having a demon marriage so important to you? He's silent. Sam stared in shock at me. I had thrown him off, but I needed to say it. I wanted him to explain and for us to discuss it. If it was something Sam wanted, I really wanted to help him as possible achieve it with him. If it was impossible, I still wanted to know, at least try regardless, all for him. Sam sighed and looked down at his crossed arms. Was it seriously that big of a deal that he felt shame over it? Hey, you still there? Yeah. I'm having mic problems?
Who told you about it?
I overheard you and your brothers arguing about it yesterday. He's silent. I began to worry. Did I make him mad? Would he be furious at me for bringing it up? I watched as he ran both of his hands through his hair and let out a sigh.
Well, we're having a human marriage and stuff, and, well, I guess that
No, your stream went offline. Hold on. No, because with it, hold on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Michaela? Can you hear me, Michaela? For a moment, yes. For right now, I'm on my phone and it says the stream's good. Try backing out of the stream and redoing it. For a moment, yes. For right now, I'm on my phone and it says the stream's good. Try backing out of the stream and redoing it. I just commented. It's on now. Okay, we good. Sam bit his lips, shutting his eyes as he collected his thoughts. I waited patiently, wanting to know exactly what he felt. He then looked up at me with a sad, almost heartbroken look in his eyes. Oh no.
I guess I just miss being a demon.
Sam! Hold on, let me get back to the thing. Okay, we good. But Sam, you are a demon.
That's not what I meant. I mean, yeah, I'm a demon, but am I really at this point? I work for a human police force. I live in the human world. I barely ever use my power, so it's like I'm not even a demon anymore.
You are still a demon, and you will always be a demon at heart. Sam looked down at his lap and closed his eyes, slumping his shoulders in almost pathetic guilt.
So I wanted to eventually ask you when the time was right to marry you demon style. Basically, I bind my soul to yours, and yours to mine. That way, I'll always know when you're okay. You'd be able to tell if I was too.
Again? Really romantic, but at the same time? No. But what about preparing the spell? Surely you had to arrange it somehow with the spell components and whatever else. I can only imagine what soul binding requires.
That I hadn't gotten around to yet. I didn't want to do anything until I knew I could do it, but lately I found out that it's impossible.
Yeah! So let's not. Let's just not do the demon marriage. Just regular marriage is fine. I couldn't help but feel my lips droop in into a frown. Sam seemed really bummed about not being able to pull off the ritual. It was a big deal, or so Sam emotionally suggested. Sam ruffled his own hair with his fingers, slightly growling under his breath, despite not looking at me, and I could tell that he was angry with the situation.
The one chance I have to feel like how I really am, and I can't even do it.
Poor Sam. Poor Sam. I'm sorry. I felt terrible for bringing it up. Sam, however, shook his head and looked to me.
Look, don't worry about it and forget you ever heard anything, okay? We'll get married like normal, and we'll spend the rest of our lives together. We don't need a spell for that.
Watch us go to the demon world and we do it. I knew Sam was trying to avoid talking about it further, so I nodded and agreed. Okay, Sam. Sam nodded before looking back to the work, as did I. We had so much to do in a small amount of time. We worked the entire afternoon, trying to arrange as much as we could before passing the time hit us like a wave. Dinner was extremely easy, but our focus was solely on the work at hand. The more work we could accomplish, the less stress that we'd have to worry about later. Looking at Sam, I could tell he was exhausted. He had his head in his hands, trying to stay awake as he read over his notes and paperwork, as if for the 5th or 6th time. I was fairly certain he was tired of reading. I always worked so hard and never failed to try and make everything we did the best moment of our lives. He deserved so much, and yet he fell in love with me and a simple human. We had no way to repay him except for loving him back. And I had no way to repay him except for loving him back and giving him everything I could. Though there was one thing. My mind traveled to a small bachelorette gift Suzu and Naomi sent me when they first heard the news. It was lingerie to be used on our honeymoon, so it was simply sitting folded up neatly in a box under the bed. I looked at Sam again, my libido giving me the idea of possibly surprising him and making his night. What? Nah! Sinning is coming. Hashtag sin queen. Just bring that back right now. Another part of my brain told me not to bother with it. The gift was for the honeymoon, so it should be preserved as such. But it was a gift, and it was given to me, so I could essentially do what I want with it. My libido fought with the logic over the situation. I slightly fawned at the idea of making hot love to Sam or saving the rough night for the honeymoon. Was I going to do it, though? Han. I mean, like, he's trying to stay awake, but at the same time, he needs to be cheered up. But I would do it without the lingerie. Though. I would do it without the lingerie. Should we sing queen this? Do it. The more I looked at Sam, the more of my inner desire began to burn and lighten my core on fire. Maybe it was something of the incubus aura, or maybe it was because I loved him that much. It didn't matter. I had to get to the room first and change before Sam came in. If this was going to work, then I needed it to be a surprise. I thought a small yawn stood up, breaking Sam out of his concentration. Hey, I'm gonna get ready for bed. Mind cleaning up everything for me?
Sure.
Thanks! I knew that his exhaustion would hold him back from using his powers for a speed boost. So I had a little while to change and surprise him. I smiled and walked over and kissed his cheek before walking out of the dining room. This is a warning. What? As I reached the lobby, I began to hustle up the stairs. into the bedroom, I needed all the time I could get. I quickly stripped on my clothes and opened up the box Suzu and Naomi had sent me, seen as emerald green and black bra with matching panties. It looked incredibly sexy, and I couldn't wait to see Sam's face when he saw me in it. As I thought of Sam, I couldn't help but feel a shiver run up my spine. His touches and his love were intoxicating. This was the least I could do for him. His scent was intoxicating. His eyes were endless traps for me to get lost in. His arms were my castle, and his heart was my timekeeper. He alone made my world perfect, and I could no longer imagine my life without him. I heard Sam's heavy, tired steps as they hit the stairs, forcing me to rush while I hid the box, hid my clothes, and grabbed the black robe to cover myself. As he opened the door, I turned to face the window.
Hey, you ready for...
No! For people who are innocent, close out this. Just you have been warned. Ooh, the music. It's sexy. Sam stopped. I was certain that me facing away from him in my black robe surprised him into silence. So I looked over my shoulder at him, needing to seduce him. He seduced me, so I needed to release my inner temptress. I slowly turned around, carefully formulating of what I wanted to do for him. I looked deep into his eyes despite the distance between us. Sit down. Ah! Remember, Sam slowly made his way towards the bed. Ah! Not breaking the gaze between us, and sat down in silence. Was he going to be obedient? Ooh! I moved to the fireplace, knowing that only took a couple clicks to turn on music through my TV. As if Lady Luck was on my side, the tune that began to play was a slow, sensual song. Score. I looked at Sam as I slowly let the rope slide. I looked at Sam as I slowly let the rope slide down off my body, revealing what I was underneath it. Sam's eyes instantly dilated at the sight, and his chest heaved in both surprise and desire. Ah! I channeled every ounce of my sexuality I had in my body as I slid the robe away from me with my foot, and ran my hands up my sides. Sam, you've done so much for me.
Yeah?
He's even stuttering! Perfect! I want to show you how much I care for you and wanted to thank you. I stared as I began swaying my hips to the beat of the song flying through the air. Sam's eyes traveled up and down my body as I ran my hands through my hair before bringing them down to my shoulders over my breast. Ah! Ah! Why am I... Ah! How I was able to do this with a straight face, I would never be able to figure it out, but I went with it. Walking to Sam, I leaned forward in bed, hovering my lips over his. My thighs hurt now. Ah! As Sam leaned in and kissed me, I pulled back a bit and held a finger over his lips. You can't touch me until I say so. That includes kissing me. I could tell that every nerve of Sam's body and mind was firing just from looking into his lust-filled eyes. He was drowning in need, wanting to ravish me simply from what I had already done. How much further could I push him? I wanted to find out. Hey, what? Sam obeyed, keeping his hands by his side on the bed and biting his lower lip to maintain some control of himself. It was actually rather refreshing to see him like this. I wouldn't make him wait longer. However, I leaned back towards him, hovering my lips over his as he stared deep into my eyes. I wanted to kiss him, however, he remained still for me. Perfect. My hands began to reach for him and slowly began to remove the Leatherman jacket. Ah! and undershirt from his body. The glistened skin of the minimal lights in the room. He had licked my lips at the sight. He really was handsome. Even more than that, he was all mine. Only I was allowed to do this. Just wanted to make sure the stream was online. Yeah, it's online. I can double check again. Yeah, it's still online. Because I'm able to... Yeah, it's still online. It's on now. Even more than that, he was all mine. Only I was allowed to do this to him, to touch him, to kiss him, to make love to him. I was forever happy and grateful and wanted to show him just how much he meant to me. I stepped back, my eyes tracing his form, before running my hands over my body, over the lingerie that I'm pretty sure he wanted to tear off me, and slowly danced to the music. The swaying of my hips and the way my fingers traced over my skin made him release some form of growl or desire-filled sigh. This show was for him, and soon he'd be able to ravish all he wanted, as soon as I brought him to the brink of his control. As much as I wanted to be dominant here, it was amazingly sexy to see him lose. It was amazingly sexy to see him lose control and let me feel his rough and strong passion. Ah! I would drive him to that point with each hip sway and each trail of my fingers creating over my body. Knowing that I needed to prod him a bit further, I slowly walked over to him, standing directly in front of him. However, as I turned my back to him, I could feel his anger against my back. I could feel his growl against my back, making me repress a shiver. The beast was slowly coming out. I swayed my hips even more, bending slightly. Ah! He's gonna lap dance, boy. I swayed my hips over, bending slightly down my rear, dance over his lap without actually sitting down on it. I had never really imagined it would give someone, let alone him, a lap dance. His heavy breathing against my back let me know that it was working to help build his desire. I smirked before rolling my hips in a circle, possibly making my ass ever so slightly. I'll be right back. Coming! No! No! In the stream, I decided to do it, and now Sam's getting a lap dance. I'm doing something better than going out doing bad things. Keki played this and it said it was wired giving himself a lap dance. See, making my ass ever so slightly brush over his groin. It was rewarding with a growl, which made my smirk widen. You told your mom? It's like, I said, he's like, are you yelling mom? I'm like, no. It's called Sam's getting a lap dance. And she just giggles. Almost there. I continued to roll my hips in circles, straddling his lap while my back hovered barely an inch from Sam's chest. I slowly felt myself becoming hot at the dance, needing him to touch me and ravish me already. However, the goal was making him break, not for me to command him to. I quickly turned around, straddling his lap. Ah! Pressing my knees down onto the mattress as I met Sam's gaze, his eyes were shifting back between gold and green just a little more. I placed my hands on Sam's shoulders before rolling my hips forward, letting a rub and it rub and grind against the heated bulge in his pants. Ah! I ran my nails over the back of his neck and pressed my chest to his, hovering my lips over his mouth, and once again, Sam, do you want me? Sam couldn't even speak a word. He was very quietly growling through his teeth, irritated that he couldn't touch me upon my demand. However, his eyes spoke volume for lust for me. The final breaking point. I finally pushed forward and took his lips in mine, kissing him deeply. My core was on fire. I needed him to break. I bit his lower lip, knowing that while it would show my power over him, it would be very quickly be overturned. I'm sorry. Never heard this before, but yeah. Here's the thing. My dad wasn't in the house when I told him. So, yeah. As Sam's hand gripped my ass, I gasped in surprise, melting at the sensation of him grabbing a cheek. A cheek in each hand. I let out a hot moan against his lip as Sam pushed back against my mouth in his own needy lips. He pulled my waist again tightly against him, craning my hips into mine and letting me know he was very hot, and he was as he came to. I'll be right back. Coming.
Just check the one.
I's back. Sorry. We had to put on our winter cover for our bird. Are you still watching? Two watching. Hi. Hi. If said that my dad would not have. I played this 3 times and I still fangirling. He pulled my waist tight against me, grinding his hips into mine, letting me know how very hot he was. He came to learn just how hot I was for him. I let another moan rumble against my lips before I felt Sam pull my legs to wrap them around my waist. Yes. Ah! My arm circled Sam's neck as he stood up, lifted me with him. As he continued to make love to his mouth with mine, he kept his hands on my rear, massaging each cheek roughly as he turned around and climbed over onto the bed on his knees. Sam fell forward, pressing me down the bed, and he grounded his hips between my legs. He came against my already burning desire. As I moved my arms, he quickly moved his hands from my ass, grabbed my wrist, and bent into the bed beside my head. Ah! Sam pulled away and looked down at me, eyes cold with need to participate. Preparation for an enthrallment spell. His enthrallment over me was part of our sex. Ah! We're not a virgin anymore. No matter how gentle or rough it was, it made each touch, each move, and each dance 10 times more explosive and pleasurable. I felt warmth take over my body as finally began to enthrall me, making me moan at how the heat made my core and desire scream to be released. Yes. Yes, master. I nodded, mewling in desire, but agreeing to his demand. The tables had turned. I was ready to receive him. However, he wanted to have me. Sam, with an amount insane speed, removed his pants and underwear and bare over me. Ah!
I'm not gonna hold back tonight.
Ooh, that's a nice view. that thing's over. Good thing. But still, very nice muscles. Nice abs. Of course you're not gonna hold back tonight. I hope you wouldn't. Sam smirked before gripping my wrist, making me gasp again at the sensation.
Maybe I really am a brute.
You're a brute for love! I purred at the sight of his gaze. He seemed to be full of carnal passion without restraint or desire to hold back. It was so unrated and delicious to see the lust in his eyes. Finally, Sam leaned down and claiming my lips, making hot love with them in his own as I moaned. His grip on my wrist tightened as he pressed his cheeks against mine. I feel his heart pounding against my chest in rhythm to my own quickened pulse. His hand slowed, released my wrist, knowing that I would keep them there before trailing down my arms, tracing each curve of my body. He purred in delight with the shivers that ran through me at his touch. It wasn't long before he had removed, almost ripped apart, my lingerie and pressed his nude body. Ah! Just skip a no. Ah. 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 Ah.
I love you. I love you so much. You doofus.
You doofus. I'm a doofus. I'm a yellow chocobo. I'm a doofus. I love you too, Sam. I practically purred as Sam ran his hands over my hair and back, soothing me into a peaceful sleep. The warmth of his skin and hum of relief was washed over my body, helped me drift to slumber at last. I felt myself drift into darkness of slumber, both peaceful and enjoying the warmth around me. It was tranquil, unable to feel anything but bliss. But yeah, we are not a virgin anymore. Surprise, Naomi and Suzu. Especially you, Suzu. I love that I often had the chance to experience this kind of sleep, which was good since I was stressed about the upcoming wedding. I needed proper rest. However, as I floated through the darkness, I could faintly hear the sounds of What? I could hear the sounds of fire swelling around me. I looked around through the dark, unable to see anything but blackness. What the? Slowly, the noise began to grow louder and louder, unrelenting in its crescendo. I almost had to cover my ears from the sheer volume.
You think you can stop me, boy?
I really hate that man. What? Sam? What are you doing here? Okay, I love this music. Oh, God. Yup! As I blinked, the darkness around me shifted into a burning room. Flames touched every inch, and I could see in the mist was Sam and his father, the Demon Lord. They were both wounded, but both standing tall, confident as ever. Sam stood between me and the Demon Lord, protecting me from him. Still, I felt fear seep into my soul as I looked at the evil Demon Lord smirking at both me and Sam.
I will kill you, old man!
That did not sound like Kagi. That did not sound like Kagi.
I want to see you try. You don't even have the strength to save your precious human.
Shut it, old man! What? Before I could figure out, I felt immense pain in my chest, something written through my back, and stabbed me through. Sam turned towards me, looked down at the blade sticking out of my sternum. No! Sam! I couldn't admit a whimper of pain as the endless agony surged through my body, wrecking my nerves, distorting my vision. Oh! I could barely make out Sam arching back to scream at the sky. A large flame-like wings erupted from his back. Oh, shit! He has wings? He he can fly? I would have imagined recording that. All of his neighbors is calling the police, saying like, he's screaming, something's wrong. He walks in and he's just like screaming into a mic. And the police is like, what's going on? It's like, oh, I'm recording. Spoiler alert. However, I felt my body give into the pain and my vision turned black. I felt waves of acne crash into my body over and over as I remained on the edge of death. I was finally able to emerge. I could barely make out Sam kneeling over me, pressing my head on his knees as tears ran. No, he's crying!
This can't be happening.
No, Sam, don't cry! Please don't cry! No, Sam, please don't. Don't cry, please. Don't cry, please. You're gonna make me cry too. From the look on his face, I really was dying. How could this be? Why was this happening? His hands quaked in disbelief as he ran one along my cheek and used the others to hold my shoulders. I stared up at him, gasping for air as blood seeped over my skin. I was dying. I felt it. I knew it. We better not get a bad ending this early. Sam swept. Sam wept, but continued to stare down at me, trying to keep... This is making me really sad. I'm not gonna lie right now. I'm actually really crying. Once on a stream, I cried. First ever time. Sam wept. He continued to stare at me, keeping me alive with his touch. However, I felt that I wasn't going to last much longer. I winced at the pain and reached an arm up to Sam, touching his cheek. Sam shook his head violently, not wanting me to use energy to speak. I grinned. I'm really crying. I'm really crying right now. It's okay, girl. No, it's not! It's not okay. Recently died in front of her fiance. Sam shook his head violently, not wanting me to use energy to speak. I grimaced at the pain, but Sam continued to cry. My heart whimpered at the sight of his tears falling down his cheeks. No, Sam! I said stop crying!
Please, please, no. I love you. Please stay with me.
Sam, stop crying, please! Sam, I love you. I wanted to wake up, but I didn't have the strength to fight this illusion. I became lost in pain that was pinning my body down and draining me of life.
I can't lose you! Please! Please. I love you.
My reaction exactly. A tear is rolling down my cheek. You're not the only one. How about me? I have to try to keep my cool on the stream, because this will be uploaded later. My streams are always uploaded. My chest wouldn't allow me to breathe anymore. All I could do was exhale my last breath and close. No! This music really doesn't help too. Poor Sam. Let's cry together. No, I can't cry. Besides, I only have like 45 to 50 minutes until I have to stop the stream. So I gotta stop crying now, or else I'll be a hot mess when he comes. As I screamed, I finally woke up standing in bed, and finally able to fully breathe again. I panted, feeling the need for fresh air to circulate through my lungs and chest. My head over my hand on my chest, feeling no marks and knowing that I was indeed alive and awake. But what of Sam? I looked aside to see him still sound asleep, lost in his dreams, which seemed to be peaceful just from the look on his face. I let out a quiet sigh, closing my eyes and looking at the ceiling. It was just a dream, nothing more. Oh my god. Okay, let's just take a break and just calm down. First, who was the one who stabbed us? It wasn't the demon lord, because Sam put us in between. Was between me and the demon lord. It was merely a nightmare. I experienced them all the time. This was more of. The more I thought of it, the more I could sense the fantasy of it. I was okay. We were okay. I ran a hand through my hair before laying back down, knowing that I would finally solace in Sam's arms, as if by instinct. Sam wrapped both strong arms around my form. I cuddled against his chest. We were fine. We were going to be fine. At last, the wedding day arrived. We had prepared all that we could, and everything was in order. Sam wanted to follow human tradition and not see the bride before the wedding. Headed to the venue to change into his tux. I, however, was alone. I didn't ask Naomi and Susie to help. I was honestly didn't want them to. I needed to be alone before my wedding, so I got dressed and made myself into the perfect bride all on my own in my own mansion. I stared at myself, seeing exactly what I wanted to see in the reflection. I looked exactly how I wanted to look on my wedding day. I smiled, unable to shake the feeling of happiness from my body. I'm getting married. I let out a small sigh as relief washed over my nervous mind. Everything was going to be fine. As I heard a car honking outside, I felt nervous creep once again. I shook my head. I needed to relax. I grabbed the things I needed and rushed out, entering a white limousine. It was set to bring me to the venue. But I stopped the driver before he began to drive off. Get ready. What do you mean? Can we stop somewhere first? The driver agreed, and I guided toward him in the cemetery. My father. No! We're going to. No! You're kidding me. We're visiting the grandfather. The driver agreed, and I guided him towards the cemetery my grandfather was buried at. You're fucking me, aren't you? It had been 2 years since he passed away. My personal visit to his grave had become fewer as time went on, but I had never stopped going. Today, though, was an incredibly happy day. I was full of emotion. I couldn't help but visit his gravestone. God damn it! I stopped crying, but now I'm going to cry again. This reminds me of when I'm going to do it. I'm going to stop and see my grandma's tombstone, gravestone or stuff. After all, I was about to marry a demon. I was about to marry the man of my dreams, and I wanted to stop there before I was going to go to the wedding to talk. I was going to the wedding venue to talk to my grandfather. I'm pretty sure I looked odd in the cemetery wearing a wedding dress. However, I really didn't mind. I needed to come regardless. I stood at the gravestone, staring down at it with a smile. I'm getting married today, Grandpa. I went gently danced around me as my grandfather ushered it to reply. My smile grew bigger and I let out a sigh. I couldn't lie. I wanted my grandfather to be at the wedding. Damn it! Why? But I couldn't go back in time, even if I was able to. How could I have stopped him from dying? I shook my head. I didn't want to think about that. Not on the day of my wedding. I hope you'll be there in spirit, Grandpa. I'm sure you'll... Before I could continue my sentence, the sky suddenly became dark, causing me to look up. Rain began to fall and patter against the stone and grass as a haunting bell began to chime. What boggled my mind was the fact that rain was avoiding my body. It was like I was in a safe circle underneath an invisible umbrella, so that the rain couldn't soak me or my dress. What the was this grandfather's doing? Why was it rain all of a sudden? The rain became heavy, and I didn't dare move from my spot, afraid of what will happen. I looked at his grave, confused and concerned. The eyes locked on the gravestone. This wasn't a natural storm. Magic was at work here. My heart gave it and suddenly squeezed in my conclusion. But the word magic reverberated in my mind. Magic. I looked down and lifted my hands to scan over my gloved palms. My fingers began to tingle, almost as a single word had unlocked something. Magic. I gently pitched the edge of my glove on the hand with 2 fingers and slid it off, revealing my bare skin. Nothing had changed, but I could feel that something was different. I could faintly feel energy zipping through the nerves under my skin, dancing in excitement at the word magic. I wonder. I knew Diana had taken away my energy and my magic before she left, but what if I still had some left? I raised my hand to the sky, focusing on the back of my hand. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had to see something. My mind quickly formed a word in my mind. I didn't know where it came from, but I let it fly from my lips as a soft whisper. Destino. As soon as the sound of that word rose in the air, the rain around me suddenly froze as if time had stopped. The wind was slightly blowing, but the rain had stopped. How about that? We are still magical as hell. I lowered my hand and looked down. I slowly lowered my hand and looked around. Did I really do this? Before I could move again, the raindrops and the storm clouds above began to fade away, returning to the sunny weather it had before. I looked around and noticed that the grass and gravestones were all dry, as if the rain hadn't even fallen in the first place. That was... Ah! Oh, shit! My headphones died.
I knew it! That girl has demon magic.
There we go. What the?
Then quit talking and let's take her.
The little pig, disgusting pig, fungus!
The demon lord will be so pleased.
I would love to know who voiced this. Who? Before I could turn to search for the voices, I felt a hand grab hold of my feet, and I looked down and lifted my dress. 2 pairs of evil-looking hands had taken a hold of my ankles, reaching through a dark red and purple pentagram. I shrieked, trying to pull my legs away, but I couldn't stop them as they swiftly pulled me into the ground. I was pulled deeper into the darkness. I was no longer in my room. I was being dragged through a dark void, one that I couldn't escape. I reached out and clawed at the dark, trying to find something to grab onto. I tried to pull my legs away from the hands that were holding me, but couldn't pull free. What was going on? Why was this happening? Someone help me! As if someone heard my scream, I suddenly felt the hands let go and disappear, leaving me to float in the darkness they left me in. I shut my eyes. Please let this be a dream. Please let this be a dream! I finally felt a surface underneath my feet. I collapsed onto it, my body curling in on itself from the experience I had. I didn't dare tear my eyes away from my lap, not ready to get up just yet. The voice I heard, however, made my heart stop.
You, what are you doing here?
Hi, Diana. I looked up, finally having the courage to take in my surroundings. My heart stopped beating for the moment, seizing in my chest. I looked up to see 5-figure strangers, monsters, beings I didn't recognize. They all looked down at me in surprise, as if I had dropped in at a very bad time. Let's see, there's Sergeant Diana, Faye, Shadow, and Rabbit. And then we're Seto. One man looked like an orc from a fantasy game without the tusks. He had broken horns and a very frightening aura around him as he stared at me. The other male was lanky in comparison, more human-like. But I could have almost feel power emanating from him regardless. One of the women who was staring at me had rabbit ears. Rabbit ears! They twitched on top of her head as she looked up at me and gripped her staff. She seemed harmless, yet she had animal ears. One creature I couldn't discern the sex. Some seemed to be more excited with me. What freaked me out was they had wings sticking out of their back, and they were floating. The last woman, however, set off an alarm bell in my head, and I looked at her surprise face, her hair, her eyes. Diana? She stared. The woman turned her body towards me in recognition to the name I called her. It was her.
What are you doing here?
She seems pissed at us, but who gives a shit? Diana walked towards me and stared down at me. It was odd. She didn't look like a human, yet I was afraid of her demon form. It towered over me. I was more in shock as to what was going on. Settle! Yay! Before Diana could speak further, most likely to repeat herself, a figure quickly stepped up and bowed to her, kneeling beside me.
My lady, please forgive me. I felt something moving between our worlds and assumed the Demon Lord was to blame, so I intercepted his summoning of this human.
Thank you, Settle! Okay. I wish it was a route just for Sero, in my opinion. Because with it, yeah.
So I wasn't the only one who felt the change in the air.
No, you weren't. Diana stared at the man kneeling beside me as I kept my eyes up at her. As she turned her gaze to me, I gulped silently. What was she going to do with me? This all felt wrong. I was about to be married. I was about to live happily ever after with the man I loved. Now I'm in a place I didn't know with Diana and a bunch of other creatures I didn't recognize. My instinct was to stay still. I couldn't move. My mind was empty of emotions, except for fear. Why was this happening? Where was I? Why was Diana here? Diana stared down at me before sighing and kneeling down to my level. As she settled onto her knees, I leaned away from her, unsure of what she'd do. Was she going to kiss me again and take my energy? Knowing her, maybe.
Can you tell me what happened?
The thing is, my mom said she was a bitch in Seduce Me 1. Now that I showed her this, she's like, she's different. I didn't want to speak. I felt no courage to. My mind was so wrapped around this chaos that I felt nothing but fear and anxiousness. This couldn't have been happening. I was dreaming.
Is she okay? I don't think so.
No, I'm not!
This is a waste of our time. Just kill her or something.
How about no?
Yes, because that's a smart thing to do. Kill someone who is clearly traumatized and has done nothing to deserve death. Brilliant idea. Bravo.
Sarcasm. Diana continued to stare at me, waiting for me to answer. Why? She didn't cast a spell on me, nor did she attack me. She continued to wait and stare. Why do I keep skipping? Slowly, my mind began to sink in the situation. Diana was willing to listen. Was she willing to help? That was another question, but first I had to answer her. My voice didn't want to answer. Still, I forced myself to nod, wanting to answer her somehow. Diana smiled softly, and which conflicted with my memories of her. She never smiled like that, yet she was now. Diana held out her hand, ushering me to take it.
Can you stand?
I nodded again and took her hand, standing up at last. I looked around at the beings in the room. They all kept their gaze to me, unsure of what I would do or say. Diana, however, led the conversation.
First, can you tell me what happened to you?
Let's see. I was at the cemetery visiting my grandfather. I somehow have magic still, and then I was pulled into here and met you guys. I took a breath, recounting everything that happened. I was about to go to the church to be married, and then I was attacked by this darkness. A couple of hands grabbed my legs and pulled me into it. Then I fell here.
A shadow summoning?
Yep! Diana turned to one of the beings, a lanky male, and glared.
One of yours couldn't have.
On my honor, it wasn't any of mine. We have nothing to gain from kidnapping a human. Nor do we know who this woman is, anyhow.
My lady, if I may, I clearly remember hearing imp demons in the void along with her. It must have been the Demon Lord's henchmen.
Yeah, the disgusting bastard pig faunus.
Those damnable creatures. That explains it.
Yep. Diana crossed her arms and looked to me again.
Well, dear, it seems that you were to be either a new harem girl for the Demon Lord to ravish, or bait for the boys to return to their father's side. Either way, I doubt you would have lived long had the Demon Lord gotten his hands on you.
Nope! A violent shiver ran up my spine. Was it true? Would I have died?
Wait a minute. This girl knows about the Demon Lord's heirs?
Yes, I do, sir.
Yes. Hilariously enough, she was set to marry one of them, as you can see from her garb.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for that compliment. As Diana motioned towards my dress, I realized how vulnerable I was and felt extremely self-conscious. I wrapped my arms around myself as Diana let out a sigh.
Well, since you do not belong here, the obvious thing to do is to send you home.
Yeah, we ain't going home. I couldn't help but stare wide-eyed at Diana. She was really going to send me home? Really? I couldn't believe my ears. You will really send me back?
Of course. It should be easy to do once everything is in order. It'll be like you never left the human world.
Thank you. Wait, like I never left the human world? What do you mean by left the human world? Diana stared before chuckling softly and gesturing to the room and beings within it.
Dear, do you not realize where you are? You are in the demon world.
Thank you for recognizing that. My mind went blank. It couldn't be. I couldn't be in the demon world. No way in hell. I felt myself back up to the wall behind me, suddenly afraid. I was in another world? How? This was impossible. Diana stepped toward me, both of her hands slowly trying to show she meant no harm as she positions them in front of her body.
Do not panic. We will send you back now, so there's nothing to worry about.
Thank you.
How will you power the spell? Bringing someone here is no easy task, but sending someone back consumes much more energy.
I'll use what energy I have now and rest. We can organize the siege another time when we fully recover. It's not like the Demon Lord can escape the corner we've trapped him in, so we do have some time to spare.
You'd waste time and energy on this human. We must strike now while the Demon Lord is weakened.
How about no?
But the human doesn't belong here. She needs to go home.
Thank you, Faye.
Shall I prepare the return spell?
Do. I grant you permission to use my energy to power the spell.
With a nod, the lanky man held out his hand toward the wall. I looked over to the direction it was aimed at. Diana's shadow? I watched as Diana's shadow simply stood against the wall, mirroring the movement of the real succubus in the room. Before my eyes, the shadow began to morph and expand on the wall on its own. I looked back to Diana, seeing her arms wrap around herself and curling her shoulders over, as if she was in pain. Her nails embedded herself into her forms. I could barely make out a painful hiss escaping her clenched teeth. Was the spell hurting her that badly? I turned back to the wall to see Diana's shadow shaking and vibrating as if it was resisting the change the man was forcing onto it.
You will obey my command. Open the gates to the void and allow passage to the world we seek.
Watch it be not Earth. Upon Diana's final words, her shadow burst and expanded into an oval-shaped doorway. I stared wide-eyed at the passage before a hand placed itself on my shoulder, forcing me to look over. The one with the spear gently pressed my shoulder forward and looked down at me with a stern face.
You must leave now. The faster you leave, the quicker we can close the void.
Go! Go! Go get married!
Thank you, Faye! I quickly nodded and lifted the bottom of my dress, stepping forward to make a run for the passageway. However, before I could bolt towards my freedom, a snarl echoed through the room.
How dare you interfere with my summoning?
Fuck you, Demon Lord. Just fuck you. Okay, so hold on. This was like, so in Seduce Me 1, Diana chuckles and everyone's erection is, oh, fuck you. Here, now everyone's reaction when he talks or does anything, now our reaction is, oh, fuck you. Because that's true, that's what I use. At that very moment, Diana began to scream, arching her spine, throwing her head back. Around her body was red-tinted bolts of lightning, flashing and shocking her form.
No!
Run, now!
Human, use the passage, now!
Thank you, Shadow. He didn't have to tell me twice. I bolted towards the portal, diving forward as I neared it, but I was forced back by a burst of energy and a flash of red light. I fell to the floor, almost slamming my head onto the stone. I know.
A human will never, ever leave this world alive!
Because we have now a curse on us. Blood of 1,000 demons.
You spineless worm!
Thank you, brute.
Close the portal! The Demon Lord might get through!
But the human...
Close it!
Thank you, Diana. As commanded, the man pulled his hand back, visually forcing his arm behind his body, and Diana's shadow quickly began to morph back into a simple shadow. The electricity around Diana faded away as she began to tip forward. The man with the spear dropped his weapon and caught Diana in his arms, curling her to his body as she panted and gasped for air.
I don't sense the Demon Lord anywhere.
Nope, it's the imp.
The worm has to scurry through the shadows to try and fight back. He'll be dead soon enough.
Thank you, brute.
How is she, guard?
Diana seemed to look uninjured, but her body was twitching from the aftermath of the magical attack. Her visible eyes was shut tightly. She dug her fingers into the guard's jacket to cling to him. Her eye opened. I saw not a blood red ruby color, but I saw a cold and unfriendly golden color painted over her iris. Her mouth opened as she panted for air, as I could see hunger in her facial expression, but she continued to stare at the wall, not wanting to make eye contact with anyone.
There are no physical wounds, but she's been weakened. I must give her my energy so she can recover.
The man swiftly moved and hooked an arm underneath Diana's knees, lifting her up bridal style as she clung to his jacket, shivering. The spear that had fallen to the floor faded into a black and purple mist as he quickly left the room with her in his arms. My mind, however, began to panic. I couldn't go home? Why was I being forced to stay? Damn that Demon Lord. Damn that Demon Lord. This wasn't right.
There's an imp in the castle. That is the only way the Demon Lord could have been able to interfere.
You! Guards by the door! Hunt it down!
A pair of guards that were apparently by the door saluted the one commanding them and ran off. I felt out of place, alone, terrified as to what was going to happen. The Demon Lord wanted me here, and his words pounded at my mind. How was I going to go home? Would I ever be able to go home? I looked up to see the winged person hovering near me as they moved and sat on their knees on the stone ground beside me.
We'll get you home, okay? Diana just needs a little rest.
We all know she does not need rest, she needs sex.
She needs more than rest. She needs to use a different spell to send her back. The Demon Lord will expect her to use the shadow spell again.
Uh-huh.
How about the normal way? I'm sure we can connect to a witch, or even the warlock she used before, to reopen a portal to the human world.
He died. That was our grandfather. Oh yeah, okay, spoilers. Sorry.
The warlock she used to get to the human world died, remember? And he was the most powerful warlock in the human world. Practically a god himself. What other human could be used to open a portal without another human dying?
Well, you can use a bad guy or other stuff.
It was merely a suggestion. The faster we get this human home, the faster we can move on and finish off the Demon Lord.
Well, what are we going to do with the human now?
Send me to bed.
We can give her a room to rest in. Humans need sleep after all. Maybe by the time she wakes up, we'll think of a solution.
That's nice of you, Faye.
Come.
Okay, Rabbit. The woman with rabbit ears looked down at me and lowered her hand to me, inviting me to take it. She had a kind but concerned expression on her face, so I trusted her. I slowly took her hand and began to stand up as the fairy figure brushed off the small patches of dust that had accumulated on my dress. I couldn't do anything. I was forced to listen to the beings around me, because there was nothing else I could do. Without them, I couldn't get home. My heart ached, but I had accepted my predicament.
Here, I'll bring you to the open ambassador's room. You are free to rest there for now.
What about Diana? The floating person giggled softly as the woman with rabbit ears cleared her throat.
She'll be fine. She's being taken care of right now.
Why not just say she's getting fucked?
Why not just say she's getting fucked? As I said, sex.
And the brute strikes again with the lack of tasteful filtering between his brain and his mouth. You still have yet to prove me wrong about my expectations of you.
Thank you, Shadow.
Keep testing me, assassin. I'm not afraid to rip your spine out of your body and use it as a back scratcher.
That's nice.
You can very well try, brute.
Ugh! Would you both knock it off? Come, everything will be taken care of.
Thank you, Rabbit. You know what? I'm not even going to call her Rabbit, even though the name would be it. A good name for her would be Lucy. That's her name, Lucy. Before I could protest, the woman led me out of the room and into the hall. I kept my eyes down, trying to take in more of the situation I was in. I was trapped in the demon world and Diana was out of commission. The demon lord had plans for me. But what exactly was he aiming for? I could have been bait. I could have been revenge. I don't know, nor I could figure it out now. At least I was safe. At least I hoped I was safe. The woman led me to the room that practically screamed medieval fantasy. Everything was clean, but still had that old age feel, as if no one had ever stepped foot in the room until that moment.
Rest here for now. When Diana is well again, we can discuss what to do.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you. I nodded to the woman before she gently curtsied and left, closing the door behind her. I took a moment to observe my surroundings, interested in understanding the aesthetic. This was fantasy turned into reality. It was like I had gone back in time. Why though? Why was the demon world really that behind in the times, or did magic supersede technology in that? And this was the result. Despite the situation I was in, which was beyond heartbreaking and terrible, my mind curiously began to fester in my mind, as if I was given a golden opportunity to learn something new. However, my thoughts began to drift. I felt myself becoming weak and dizzy, no doubt from the shock and trauma I had gone through. I stumbled towards the bed, needing to sit down and let everything settle in without passing out. As my rear hit the mattress, however, I let a small, pleasured sigh. Holy crap, this is a comfy mattress. I felt myself fall back and my entire body simply melted into the softness beneath my body. This was like sleeping on a cloud. Was that possible? Demon magic may have had something to do with it, but I was certain that I was drifting into almost a blissful sleep just by lying on the blankets and mattress. Not caring that I was still in my dress, I closed my eyes and drifted to sleep. I needed to rest since Diana wouldn't be available for a while anyway. Darkness surrounded my mind. My dreams remained silent and hushed in the cool and calm black. No nightmares appeared and no sounds were made. I was simply resting and that was all my body needed. I let my thoughts wander in my subconscious, thinking about what was going on, what was going to happen now. What will the boys do when they realize I'm gone? What will he do? I imagined them finding a way through the demon world and pulling me back to where I belonged, wrapping me in his arms and swearing, I had a burp. That's very nice. Wrapping me in his arms and swearing never to let me go. I would be relieved and we would be married just as we planned. Cannot talk today. How unrealistic was that? I had to be realistic right now. I was stuck and the only one who seemed to be able to send me back was Diana and her companions, whoever they were. I had a voice crack. I had to trust them whether I liked it or not. Hold on, I'm gonna put on a jacket. Where I live, it's like -5 right now. Give me my floofy jacket. Oh, no wonder I heard rustling. Eventually, I did rise from my sleep, somehow fully refreshed and calm. How could that have been?
Did you have a good rest?
Yay, Diana! I turned my head to see Diana at the door, arms crossed and leaning against the door's archway. She had a look of concern and pure curiosity on her face as she awaited my answer. Are you okay?
Huh.
Ah. Diana stared at me, slightly shocked. Did she not expect me to ask that? Did she not expect me to ask?
Huh. Well, yes, I'm fine now that I've had proper rest.
It's 10 where I live. So it's still in the morning for you. That's good. Diana shook her head and stepped into the room, closing the door behind her.
So we need to find another way to get you back to the human world. It won't be easy, but I believe it can be done by tonight at the latest.
Tonight? Really? Diana nodded and crossed her arms again, leaning on one hip.
It will take time to get our shadow agents to gather the necessary supplies, but they are not hard to obtain, being that we're in a position of power. You must be lucky.
I guess I am, but I'm really not. What do you mean? It's 2:32 where I live. It's 1:34 where I live. Diana sighed before casting a short spell under her breath. In front of me appeared a floating map, almost like a hologram. It showed me the entire world with mountains, plains, and forests, and it was all surrounded by sea and water. Diana pointed to a marker that had a purple banner at its tip. It was marked the center of some mountain and forest area. It was also the very center of the map.
That is where we are currently, the center of the abyssal plains.
Thank you. Diana then ran her finger in a circle around the marker, showing a perimeter around it.
Everything we need for the spell is within this area. It will just take time to gather the materials and prepare it.
I nodded, understanding the situation. I was going to hopefully be able to go home tonight, which was better than not going home at all. So, what should I do until then?
My suggestion, stay in this room. I can mark this room as off limits so that no demon may enter that would confuse you for an intruder and kill you.
Thank you! I gulped. I did not want to die. As Diana made the magical map disappear, she shrugged.
However, I cannot stop you from whatever you wish to do. Just don't leave the castle.
Thank you. I nodded as she turned to leave. She stepped out. As she stepped out, Diana looked back to me with a reassuring look.
We'll get you back to the human world. I promise you that.
She's helpful! Finally, she left me alone in the room. I let out a small sigh and looked up at the ceiling. I had to wait until tonight to actually do anything. What was I going to do? Part of me agreed with Diana's suggestion, wanting to stay in the room and be safe in case the guards did not know who I was and would kill me on sight. My curiosity, however, wouldn't leave me alone and wanted me to explore the castle. I was handed an opportunity to explore the castle and the demon world, and part of me did not want to go to waste. I was torn on what to do. I'm going to stay in the room because with it, I really don't want to die, and I really do not want to go looking around and all of a sudden find Brute and tell him, he's like, hey, take your clothes off, you gotta train. It was better to be safe than sorry. I fell back onto the bed and closed my eyes, contemplating taking a nap to make time go by faster. Explore. No! I am not taking that risk. I watched a playthrough of what happened, and it's very, very weird. Anyways, it's 1:36. I'll probably end the stream, a couple minutes before 1:50. Or stuff. Staying in my room, it was the best option for me, both so that I wouldn't get lost and that I'd be okay in case the guards were on duty. I let out a small sigh before looking around the room. Was there anything I wanted to look at closer? Okay, I'm gonna
Excuse me.
Why is this not safety?
Excuse me.
There we go. Oh, no. No. I'll save you there. Okay, well, I'm gonna go and stuff. It's 1:37. I gotta get ready for my boyfriend. But I will stream later tonight. So, hope you guys enjoyed.